Bitcoin is down. It's down a lot. It's down 5.47% today alone. Over the last 5 days, Bitcoin's down 9.5%. In the last month, it's down 21%. And yes, sure, it's down a little less on the 6-month chart of 18%. Over the last year, though, it is down of 6%. Year to date, it is down 7%. And 2025, which was supposed to be the parabolic moon boy vertical up move omega candle year, might be flat, might be negative. We are up a tremendous amount over the course of the last 5 years. We're up hundreds and hundreds of percent. And it's easy to say zoom out. It's easy to say, oh, number go up if you zoom out enough. But the reality is a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are in pain. In fact, we're going to be talking about how Bitcoin at this $86,000 level is literally the highest amount of pain ever in Bitcoin's history before for short-term holders. This chart you're looking at on the screen here is from Checkmatey, Check on Chain. He's a team member of mine at the Bitcoin Advisor. He's a really awesome guy, has a very thick accent. He's a young father, great guy, and he makes some great charts. And this is one of those great charts. This is the short-term holder supply and profit or loss ratio, meaning the green sections are when short-term buyers of Bitcoin are at an exceeding amount of profit, unrealized paper gains. And then, of course, the red being when there's, blood in the streets, right? Now, why do I talk about this? Well, I have absolutely no clue what the Bitcoin price is going to do in the short term. I do believe in a long period of time, it's going to go up. And there are a tremendous number of people that, quite literally everybody that's new to buying Bitcoin in size from November of 2024, literally basically they're flat, if not negative, and it's been a relatively boring year. And even for people that started buying, let's say in March of 2024, they've only really known one super exciting, euphoric week. And that was this week after election, right? Keep that in mind, that for 2 years, out of the basically last 100 weeks, there's been basically a 2 or 3 week period that was genuinely exciting. And the entire rest of the time was waiting, chopping around, up and down. And so, yes, obviously, Bitcoin is going to millions of dollars, in my opinion, and obviously we all should be zooming out, but that doesn't solve the problem many of you are facing right now. And some of you are facing an even bigger problem, which is not that Bitcoin price is going down. It's that Bitcoin price may cause leveraged liquidations on different kinds of positions you have. And I'll be talking about that more in just a moment. But the point is here that it is not, nothing is guaranteed. And I don't know what the price is going to do, but I think it is a very strong guarantee. I think it is a very strong probability. It is a very accurate statement, borderline just a fact, that this is the most painful time of the last few years. The single most painful time for short-term holders, right? Obviously, long-term holders have their own chart, which is a whole separate conversation, and that is not nearly at the 99% loss levels. That's more like 60% or so, which is modestly, fearful. So we could go a lot lower. If the long-term holder supply ratio actually continues to go negative and people actually start selling at a loss, sure, we could go considerably lower from here than this $86,000 price at the time of recording. However, I think it's worth keeping in mind that literally the short-term holders are having more pain today on a total adjusted basis. They're having more pain today than they were having in the COVID crash of 2020, than they were having in the FTX crash of 2022, and they were even having in the 2018 bear market. Sure, you can't go off 1 day or even 5 days worth of data, but I think still that's something that's remarkable and something worth considering when you decide what kind of emotional switch you want to flip today. Speaking of emotional switches, I get this question a lot, even from people that are veterans, even from people that have been in Bitcoin a while. The reality is that when you're new to Bitcoin, this is all new to you. And even if you aren't new to Bitcoin, you're new to this new level of net worth. Congratulations, you've been holding on to Bitcoin for 5 years. Now, instead of having 6-figure days up or down, you're having 7-figure days up or down, right? One of my friends I saw this morning, he has $1 million days every other day, right? And so my point is that, sure, we get numb to a sense of the volatility. However, because your net worth is growing so dramatically, because Bitcoin does go up over time, you have this increasing, reality of like, oh, I went from making or losing a car every week to I'm making or losing a house every week to I'm making or losing a lottery ticket every week, right? But a lot of people are getting shaken out or scared by doomsdayers charts, or bear porn charts, as some people call them, that are being posted online. And I think this was one of the more egregious examples of ones that was posted online, right? The Wyckoff distribution chart is a very famous chart. It really went the rounds in Bitcoin Twitter back in 2020 and 2021. And this is a chart that a lot of people cite whenever they feel like there's a Bitcoin top, right? Obviously, it's been claimed a lot. Sometimes it's proven accurate, sometimes it's not. But this person decided to take a Wyckoff distribution chart and they put it on the last basically decade of Bitcoin price action. It's basically like, well, this is it. Bitcoin's at 86K today, and literally they're calling for Bitcoin to go to about $300 a coin. So my point is, I don't know what's going to happen, but if literally 99% of the short-term holders are in literally more pain than they've had at any other, 5-day interval period of time of the last few years, and if we have these kinds of charts being posted online, not as memes or jokes, but as, quasi-serious kinds of things. And that's something else to keep in mind, is that a lot of the people posting these charts, they don't actually make money from trading. They make money from the engagement farming, right? That's just the reality of it, right? Content doesn't pay that well, making content online, because information, like everything else in the world, trends to the marginal cost of production. And so if you are trying to make your money through content production, then your goal is not to be accurate. Your goal is to be sensationalist. And this is definitely pretty sensationalist, and I'm pretty confident this chart is not going to manifest. However, this is the moment that lives change. And two immediate things in this period of time, in this extremely fearful point in time, when Bitcoin's falling pretty strongly over the course of the last month, there are two groups of people that are going to have their lives changed in the course of the next 60 days. This is going to scare some of you. This is going to make some of you excited. And I'm going to have both of the sides of that coin. But this is something I'm seeing a lot in my line of work right now. I'm seeing a lot of people that are making very, very, very good decisions. I think are going to set them up very well for multi-million-dollar gains in the next couple of years, or in some cases, tens of millions of dollar gains. And other people that are going to make big mistakes. And I'm seeing this in real time. As of recent, on a daily basis, at this point, I'm meeting people that have either been liquidated, soon to be liquidated, or are losing sleep over potential liquidations. People with tremendous amounts of money. Truly awful stuff. And it's not only awful because of the financial loss, but because of the impact on lives it causes. People have real lives. It's not just numbers on a screen. People have family members that have illnesses. People are trying to buy their first house, or they're trying to cash out of their house, right? They're trying to move somewhere. They're trying to retire, start a job, transition jobs, quit jobs. People have real lives going on. And when you're dealing with the liquidation, it only amplifies those more important things in your life going on. And so this video is a warning to all of you watching this video. And I'm very heavy-handed on this message right now at this particular time of the Bitcoin cycle. Whether we go up or down, this is the important message that you need to be thinking about. For every person that has been liquidated so far with Bitcoin margin, there are 10 more that will face liquidation in the $70,000 to $85,000 price range. Okay, we've had a lot of pain. The short-term holders have had a lot of pain. I think we're due for a bounce. Whether we go up higher from there or down lower, I don't know. I still have a very bullish bias. I don't think we're going to have a bear market for the next 18 months. I don't think we're going to have an 80% correction. I do think the 4-year cycle is dead. But do not rule out the possibility we get a really bad jobs report, or that excessive fear hits the market and we wick down to 60K for like 24 hours, and then we skyrocket right back up to 90K as if nothing happened. We've seen it before in many other instances, and the amount of fear we're seeing right now means that anything is on the cards. People are not acting emotionally, and a lot of people aren't even acting out of emotion. They're acting out of necessity if they have liquidations. Not only that, but the loan balances, every $1,000 you go lower in Bitcoin price, more and more people are getting liquidated, and the loan balances get higher and higher. People take out 5, 6, or 7-figure loans at 80K per Bitcoin, but they took out 6, 7, or 8-figure loans at 40K or 50K or 60K per Bitcoin or whatever, right? So if the lower Bitcoin goes, if you have an exponentially multiplying factor of people that have lower margin calls, and the principal sizes of those loans are growing the lower we go, people could get really scared really quick. As much And as fearful as the market is, and as much as my personal bullish bias, I think there's like a 70, 80, 90% that this is a big bottom here. um, the other aspect of this is that it could keep dipping. It could keep going down. People can continue to be scared, not because out of a emotional reality, but out of a necessity for many people facing a liquidation here. And so if that happens, we could easily, despite sentiment already being pretty destroyed, we could easily see a 20 to 50x in the desperation of a group of people, being the people that have leverage right now. We could easily see a tremendous increase in the desperation if we go a bit lower, which frankly, and I hate to say it, makes me kind of think it's possible. How ironic would it be if all the people that took out margin call leverage at $100,000 or $120,000 of Bitcoin, what if they all get wiped out? We go to 70K in December of 2025. They all get wiped out. They all get liquidated. They all lose 80% of their money or whatever. And then 2026 starts. Bitcoin starts to follow gold. They start printing money into the sky, and then Bitcoin just rockets right up to 200 grand. How ironic would that be? That would totally destroy all the 4-year cycle bears. That would totally destroy the expectations of all the moon boys, myself included, that we would dip down to a price that low in Q4 of 2025. And it would wreck all the people that thought they were being a genius taking out margin call leverage and fiat denominated loans. Some cases, the ironic option is perhaps more likely than what we would like to admit. And many of my calls I've had over the last week, especially with various prospects or people that I'm just meeting, a lot of these are very scary calls. A lot of these are very sad calls. And personally, while I remain a hyper bull and self-identified moon boy, and I do think Bitcoin is more likely to go to $150,000 and $50,000, there is always this non-zero 10 to 20% chance that we do have a short-lived wick far below than what you think. And maybe we do stay on there. Maybe we do have a bear market. But even if we don't have a bear market, the odds of a wick down to those bear market lows are higher than actually going there in a full-on bear market. Again, we saw this in COVID. We saw this in the China ban in 2021. Bitcoin fell 50% in just a couple weeks. We saw this in the FTX crash, okay? A dump and then a mega bull rally recovery, okay? This is the good news about this video, is that, hey, we're in a lot of pain. Bitcoin going to all-time highs is a 40% increase from here. What else on the planet can you buy that you have reasonable confidence that's going to increase in 40% value over the course of the next potentially, 1 to 12 months, right? The S&P is, within a few percent of its all-time high. Bitcoin's got to go up 40% just to meet where it was a month ago, right? Give or take 5, 10%, whatever, right? Like Bitcoin is still, and especially now, a risk-adjusted bet in your favor. And so how ironic would that be if we get that nuke wick down? And again, I'm not predicting this. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And frankly, I hope it doesn't happen, because many people, dozens of people I've talked to in recent times here, all of them would have a very painful day if that happens. So I'm not saying I hope that is going to happen, but how ironic would that be if that happened? And just because I remain 80 to 95% bullish on the short term and the medium term and 100% bullish on the long term, that doesn't necessarily mean we can ignore the 5 to 20% risk this is going to happen. If you have a leverage margin call, your margin call does not care if Bitcoin is at your liquidation level for an hour or a year. It only cares that it happened. You should not be asking yourself, Luke, are we going to a bear market or not? That you shouldn't be asking that. It doesn't matter if we go to a bear market or not. We could still be in the Giga Chad Omega Candle bull market of a generation, and we still could hit that liquidation level, and you still could get wrecked. It doesn't matter if we have a bull market or a bear market. We could easily not have a bear market over the next 18 months, and you still could be liquidated if we have a very scary candle that's like another $5 or $10 or $15,000 from here that's short-lived because of some economic crisis that gives the government the excuse to print money out of their butt, right? Ironically, max pain is we nuke down for a brief period of time and we mega bull up very quickly, which, like I said, fate loves irony. And again, I hope that this is not going to happen. I'm not trying to bear post. I'm just trying to meet people where they are. I'm not trying to scare you beyond how scared you already potentially are. I'm trying to speak reality to you. If you are holding spot Bitcoin and you're considering selling, I have this conversation to a lesser extent. I've had this a few times. People are scared. They're like, should I sell? Should I sell? I'm like, no, I don't think you should sell. It's a risk-adjusted bet. Selling at 85, trying to buy it back at 55 or 65 or 75, probably not a good plan, right? Just in case we do move up 40% from here back to all-time highs. Then you're going to freak out and not know what to do, right? But again, the even more important conversation are for those of you that have leverage. I'm not trying to be a bear. I'm trying to be your buddy. I'm trying to be your friend here and encourage you to prepare now in case we go lower, okay? If you have 50%, 60% of your Bitcoin, let's say 50%. If you have 50% of your Bitcoin at risk of a liquidation, if we go significantly further down, and if there's a 10% chance that we actually do wick down to 70K or whatever your liquidation level is for 24 hours, then effectively this conversation we're having right now is to help you protect 5% of your stack that on a risk-adjusted expected value basis is already gone, right? This is why it's really important to look through your possibilities now. I'm not certain of a bear or a bull market, but I'm certain you should be considering it as a possibility. I am telling you with absolute certainty, if we go to those low levels, even for just a couple days, many of these people will get wrecked. And I'm sure that for every person that has reached out to me over the course of the last week or two, 10 more have thought about it and haven't done it. I just know how human psychology works. There's a lot of you watching that you've seen me make these videos over the course of the last few days, begging you with the margin call loans, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about how to refinance or restructure your debt to reduce the margin call risk as soon and as fast as possible. And, potentially even get you a cheaper interest rate. There's all kinds of options there. The point is, let's have a conversation about that. You may not want to do that, but at least you have the possibility now. You may not have the possibility if and when demand increases by a factor of 10 and the timeline shrinks from having weeks to take action to mere hours or potentially minutes. Please, and like literally minutes. Okay. Bitcoin can do whatever it wants. It could literally go up to 95K in minutes, or it could go down to 75K in minutes. Okay, this is why it's so important. You have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. It literally could be any minute that we can just nuke up or nuke down, for whatever. So please, for goodness sakes, if you want to have a tech and product agnostic conversation with me, the time to reach out is now. Yes, this video is self-serving. Yes, I'm encouraging you to book a paid call with me. However, I'm asking you strongly to do it now, so that if this fear I have does manifest, even if just for a 24-hour period, that you're not going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let's figure out how you can refinance your balance, rebalance it, or reframe your current situation. I may not be able to help. I don't guarantee results. I never guarantee results, but there's a pretty good chance I can help. What I can guarantee you is that whatever possibility I have or anybody else has to help you right now, or the possibility you have to help yourself, those odds will diminish if over the course of minutes, hours, or days, Bitcoin actually does have that moment where it goes down in that, let's say, 5 to 20% chance scenario, right? If that happens, you're going to have a bunch of things happen. You're going to all of a sudden have your emotions skyrocket because something you thought that could never happen, now you're staring right in the face literally any minute or hour or day it could happen. The hourly consultation rates to talk with me or anybody else, those rates are going to skyrocket. Not only for me, I'm just telling you how the whole market's going to react, and your emotions are going to go off the charts, and you probably will make less logical decisions. So therefore, with an advance notice, I'm making it very clear I will be doubling my hourly rate for the foreseeable future. All right, we got Thanksgiving coming up. We got this volatility coming up. I literally can't keep up. I could barely keep up before. Now I really can't keep up. I hate to do this. I really don't like raising my rate, but I have to. So the rate's going to double 24 hours from the time of this post. So basically reach out immediately at the time of watching this video. I'm telling you in advance, I'm not trying to take advantage of you. I'm not trying to take advantage of people's fears. I'm trying to tell you in advance, let's get you on the calendar right now for at some point over the next few days or into next week, because I'm not going to be helping you on Thanksgiving Day. I'm not going to be helping you when I'm with my family. And, at the end of the day, if this fear actually does manifest, it's like, truly, I wish you the best of luck, right? Is this self-promoting? Yes. Like, you should reach out literally right now, book a call with me. Let's have a conversation. Yes, this is obviously a big self-promotion. And I know I lose subscribers when I say this. I get it. But this is why I'm not trying to optimize for the most views. I'm trying to optimize to help the most people. I'm trying to optimize for the most effectiveness. And this is why in all my videos, I give my raw opinions, my true opinions, my unfiltered rant opinions, right? So yes, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. The reason I'm making this post now, and the reason I'm making this video now, is not because it gets clicks. This whole post literally got 9 likes. So literally nobody cares, right? The whole reason why I do this is not for the sake of that. It's because there's a chance that 1, 2, or 3 people watching this video are going to prevent a 6, potentially even a 7-figure loss in the course of the next few weeks if, God forbid, this thing actually does happen, right? Don't complain in that future point in time, if this happens, that you weren't warned. I tried warning you now. You've heard me say for years, most shouldn't use leverage, and those that want to use leverage should have a conversation with me about non-margin call loans for a very long time, right? Never once, and this is so important, never once have I marketed or promoted or had a sponsor of a margin call loan product. It doesn't necessarily mean all those companies are bad companies, but I don't like marketing those products. I'd rather work on a results-based model instead of a product-based model where my goal is how can I write and originate as many loans as possible? Because I don't think that's in the best incentive for everybody. In fact, I think it's in the best incentive of most people not to do that. Likewise, I'd rather you reach out immediately, because, the time is short. You get the point. You get the point, right? I don't have to ramble on and on about that. But let's talk about the more positive side of all this. Let's talk about the number go up side. Okay, we've eaten the vegetables, we've drank the medicine, we talked about that. Let's talk about the number go up stuff, okay? This is really exciting. If you're somebody that has a long-term time horizon, that isn't looking at the last 5 days, but the last 5 years at a 362% gain, this is exciting. The people are panicked. The leveraged degens, they're all getting liquidated. Literally, 99% of the short-term holders are in extreme pain. This potentially is a COVID-19 market bottom opportunity. This potentially is an FTX market bottom opportunity. And so, yes, my whole original post here was that this is the moment that changed lives. A lot of lives are going to change in the next few weeks because a lot of people are going to get liquidated, especially if we go down a little bit more, even if for a brief period of time. But the other group of people that are having their lives change literally right now are people that are getting generational, once-in-a-decade opportunities here, where Bitcoin is the lowest risk it's ever been in its history. Bitcoin is the most integrated in Wall Street it's ever been in its history. It's the brightest future ahead of it ever in its history. It's the best risk-adjusted bet ever in its history before. And the people that are having their lives change in a positive, optimistic aspect, these are people that are making very large buys, that are having very large moves at this exact moment in time. These are a lot of other people I'm talking to, typically people with very high net worth that are making big positions for the future. The other people having their lives change literally right now over the course of the next few weeks and months are the people who are buying heavier at prices cheaper than they ever thought they would be able to see. Many of my clients at Bitcoin Advisor are doubling or tripling down at these levels. Some of them are using arbitrage trades and other vehicles to increase exposure in case Bitcoin returns to its all-time highs. This is one of those questions I get a lot. What do you mean, Luke, by Bitcoin arbitrage? What I mean is you have one trade where if Bitcoin goes down in terms of dollars, you make dollars. And at the other trade is that if Bitcoin goes up denominated in dollars, that you increase the Bitcoin profit. So effectively, you make a little Bitcoin, you make a little profit. If Bitcoin goes down, you make a lot of money if Bitcoin goes up. Obviously, as the moon boy self-identified, hyper maxi I am, of course, I think it's going up, right? So the point is, if somebody is trying to use financial engineering to increase the Bitcoin stack, they should do it in a way where they're protected in both directions, no matter what Bitcoin's going to do. Because despite our bullish optimism, things could always change. Things could always be different. So the point is that that's what a lot of people I'm working with are doing. And, and you could like that, you can hate that, but the reality is we're doing it now. We were not doing it, We've done this kind of setup, let's say 10 times more over the course of the last few weeks, a month or two, than we were doing at 126 grand, because so much of the risk has been taken out of Bitcoin. So much of the short-term risk, I should say, because we just had a 30% correction, not only a 30% correction, but one of the most painful and rapid 30% corrections of, literally this entire cycle. So no matter if we go higher or lower on a risk-adjusted bet, it still makes a lot of sense. I will continue, as I have for literally years, I will continue to focus on self-custody, low risk, setups. And if somebody tolerates risk, we need to keep it margin call free, if at all possible, and the max duration possible. I personally always have a bullish bias, but we always need a plan in case we're wrong on timeline or price level. And many of these people that are having their lives changed, in my opinion, right now by making really awesome entries that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten the chance to if Bitcoin hadn't crashed 30%. Many of these people are making 6, 7, or even 8-figure positions they were dreaming about a few months ago. A few months ago, when we were exploring these options, people said, oh well, not now, and I agree, maybe next time, right? But here we are. It seems like a pretty dang good opportunity to me. Many of these people are going to make millions and millions of dollars in the next couple of years with less stress and with less time sacrificed than many other people. Again, for the two of you watching that don't know, with what I do. Currently, our team is sitting at a little over $1 billion of assets. We're helping over 500 clients in 20 countries manage with a literal perfect track record since 2016. Nobody in our clientele has ever lost any amount of Bitcoin in the arrangements they have with us due to passing, due to theft, due to loss, user error, any of those things, right? My point here is that soon that 1 billion is going to be 10 billion as Bitcoin does its next 5x. And 5 years from now, we're not going to be looking at $86,000 Bitcoin. We're going to be looking at a $450,000 Bitcoin, right? That's a 5x from here. You know, I mean, that's just what's going to happen. I'm just telling you how it is, right? For the ones that are reducing the risk, and this is why for years, my big focus has been pounding the table on reducing your risk. If you reduce your risk, you can feast on opportunities, okay? For the people that have leverage, for the people that have margin call loans where their Bitcoin is tied up as collateral in these kinds of products, even if they aren't margin called, even if this is the literal Pico bottom, which I wouldn't be surprised about, by the way, even if that is the case, well, they've had the opportunity cost that they couldn't afford to double down at these cheap levels. This is why I went to reduce your risk, because if Bitcoin price goes down, your risk is skyrocketing, and more importantly, your opportunity cost is skyrocketing. Bitcoin is so much freakishly cheaper here now than it was at 126 grand. Bitcoin to make a 40% move at 126 grand would take you to the high hundreds. But here at 86 grand, you got to move way more than 40% to make it to 130 grand or so, right? And so this is why you got to focus on reducing your risk. And a lot of people don't like it when they hear me say that message. They want to have the conversation of how they can increase the risk or increase their stack. But I always say, before we can talk about increasing your stack, we have to focus on decreasing your risk. This is why. This moment is why. And so the lesson here, the big lesson of this whole video, this rambling video I'm making that nobody cares about. The biggest risk is bad risk management. Or the biggest risk in bad risk management is losing out at the opportunity cost of these very moments. These moments do not come often. This is one of the best moments of the last 5 years to be buying Bitcoin on a risk-adjusted bet. Even though a bear market is a non-zero possibility, and I think it's pretty low. Even if we are flat for 6 months before continuing higher, you know, it is indisputable that this is a better time of buying Bitcoin than it was a month ago. Like, this is a really, really good opportunity. And this is an awesome time for you to take advantage of that. For me personally, I'm doing all right. It's been very long hours over the last week or two. I also somehow traveled to Amsterdam for the Bitcoin conference there in the middle of all this. But the work is rewarding as ever. My job is very strange in that there are particular times of the day where one call is very happy and it's very joyous because somebody just made a stupid butt ton amount of money, or they just had their kid, or they just had whatever, or they're celebrating, or they just retired. And then other people, you know, are calling me literally on one of the worst days of their life, frankly. In some instances, there's a lot I can say, but I won't and I shouldn't. So going from here, practical application for you. If you've made a mistake and you have either you've panic sold Bitcoin because Bitcoin went down, or more likely you have a leveraged loan with your Bitcoin and the LTV is way too high and it's basically all your portfolio and you're nervous, you got to accept it. That's the first step, acceptance. Accept you've already made the mistake. Now, let's try to rectify the situation ASAP. Stop living in denial that it's not possible for Bitcoin to go lower and liquidate you. It is 100% possible. I can assure you of that. So accept it, and let's try to rectify the situation while you still have tools at your disposal and time at your disposal that we can do it. If you have a liquidation level that's a little bit farther down here, please reach out within the next 24 hours and you will get my normal rate. I'm giving you this notice in advance. Wait a day and you will pay double because you may not have a day. If you wait and this does happen, you'll be paying 2, 3, 5 times my current rate, and I will be literally only 10% as helpful as I am right now because you won't have time to execute on the plan, right? You won't have time anymore if this actually happens. If you're not somebody like that, but you're in the more exciting scenario and you want to take advantage and capitalize on this opportunity, you want to buy Bitcoin when it's had its market cap fall by 30%. If you want to take advantage of that, if you're somebody that doesn't have a tremendous amount of risk here and you want to have a conversation about, you know, on your own, like, you don't need me. Like, you're going to take advantage of this opportunity on your own. You know how to buy Bitcoin. You know how to do it. You're going to be fine on your own, you know, and I don't guarantee results. However, I'm pretty confident that maybe we can make your results even better. We can go from good to great. So if you want to have that conversation, this is a great time to have it, in my opinion. If you're in a much healthier portfolio position and want to have a discussion about increasing your Bitcoin stack without a margin call, this is an excellent time to have that conversation, okay? Basically, everything right now is in fear territory, especially Bitcoin, where they're literally posting Wyckoff charts that say Bitcoin is going down to $300, right? Like, people are scared, people are freaked out. I'm not saying this is the bottom, but it's I think a great risk adjusted time. There are awesome options available with zero margin call for the sake of acquiring Bitcoin on 3, 5, even 30-year terms. I'm more than happy to brainstorm this with you to help you the best I possibly can in a tech and product agnostic setting, right? I don't work as a loan officer. I don't work, at any I don't work at a company that produces loans. I work at the Bitcoin Advisor, which is a service. Bitcoin Advisor, we do not produce any loans. We have no proprietary products or services that we do. Meaning that my goal is to help people end up with more Bitcoin. My goal is not to just originate more loans for the sake of originating more loans. If you want to reach out, you know where to find me. It's on the screen. It's in the description, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, if you reach out in the next 24 hours, I may not get the chance to respond to literally everybody because I got another 5 or 6 hours of discussions today I have to do. But I'll reach out to you as soon as I possibly can. Please have patience with me. The last 2 weeks have been very, very, very dramatic with everything that's going on. But ultimately, reach out. Let's have it done. Again, as always, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm a sinner. But ultimately, and I'm not perfect. Maybe I can't help you, but I can assure you, I have probably seen way more geniuses and way more fools make way more wise and stupid decisions than you have in your time, just anecdotally from the sheer proof of work and volume I've done over the course of years. So let's talk about the big lessons that hopefully I can pass on to you for free. If you don't want to pay for a call with me, or you're not there yet, or you're not worried, that's fine. Here's some free lessons I have for you in my experience. Your number one cost always is opportunity cost. Your number one cost is that unknown opportunity you're not even aware exists. That is the most expensive thing. It's not the fees you're paying. It's not the interest rate. It's not, it's not the expense. It's not your gas or your mortgage. Your number one cost in life is always the opportunity cost of the thing that's right in front of you that is $1 million opportunity that you're ignoring because you don't even know it's there or it exists. And your number one focus should always be on risk reduction and mitigation of your portfolio first. And your secondary focus after that, then you can justify increasing your Bitcoin allocation. Because in periods where the Bitcoin price is not performing as you hoped and your risk is ballooning, you have that opportunity cost explode. The people that are selling Bitcoin to pay off fiat margin loans are having the inverse of opportunity cost. If Bitcoin does go back up to 150K in the course of the next year, they're going to be really, really frustrated. Don't make the mistake of focusing on getting more Bitcoin before reducing your risk. Don't be buying XRP first so you can flip it and trade it for Bitcoin profits. Don't be using a Bitcoin margin call first before you even had the conversation about self-custody with your family, right? Don't put the mistake of the secondary thing in front of the primary thing and putting the cart in front of the horse. Trust me, you will end up with less Bitcoin and way more stress. Not a good plan. And as a final note for me on a personal level, this is exactly why it is really important to me in coming years to understand the incentives, for you to understand the incentives of the people you're working with. People hired by the hour want to book more hours with you. People compensated by the product want to sell you more products. People compensated by writing and originating loans want to sell you more loans. You are going to see more and more Bitcoin YouTubers and content creators push more and more Bitcoin loan products. And I'm not saying they're evil people. I'm not even saying it's morally wrong to do that. But I am saying you got to be aware of the incentives here. The incentive is not to, I'm not saying they want to see people come to harm. However, there is a possible conflict of interest when it comes to helping people have a well-balanced whole portfolio in their given situation. And there are other people that are rewarded by the results. And therefore, of course, they are directly incentivized to help you get said results. Okay. For me personally, with my work at the Bitcoin Advisor, we are this third option. We are paid on a results-based model. A lot of people say it's expensive. A lot of people say it's frustrating. A lot of people say that's not fair. But times like right now, frankly, people don't view it as that expensive because of the tremendous opportunity cost staring at us in the face and also the very expensive mistakes that some people are making. For my personal moral conscience, and the reason why I'm making this video is not for the clicks, is to clear my mind so I get the message out there and then I can sleep well at night, right? Because I need to sleep for the next few days here. For my moral conscience, I'm really glad that my business model is not product-based where I make more money by selling more margin call loans or products that I don't agree with. Instead, well, actually, again, I'm going to emphasize, this is why I've not taken sponsorship from these kinds of products. Again, I'm not saying they're evil companies. I'm not even saying that I haven't used them in the past myself. But I am saying you just got to think about the incentives, okay? you're going to have so many freaking products promoted to you and pitched to you in the coming years. And you got to be really, really, really careful. 95% of them are crap, garbage. You should never touch them with a 10-foot pole. 4% of them are okay, and 1% are great. And a lot of people, way more people, are going to be duped into opting into the 4% okay products and then hurting himself with those products. Way more people are going to get hurt with that than with the people that are buying the obvious outright scam garbage products. Okay, this is why I'm glad clients on my team are rewarded only if they end up keeping their Bitcoin or ideally increasing their stack. Okay, is a 0.6% average fee. Starts at 1%, goes to 0.5%. Right? It doesn't sound that expensive right now to people that are making very large double-digit percentage moves in their portfolio up or down in just the course of the last couple of weeks alone in terms of profit or loss, right? Doesn't sound that expensive, right now, right? When Bitcoin's going up, everybody complains, oh, it's so expensive. Right now, people actually understand the incentive model, what's going on here, right? Nobody that's about to lose 30% of the stack cares about paying a 0.6% fee for somebody to come along with them and align with them, trying to help them protect that 30% that they're about to lose. Nobody cares about the fee. And likewise, nobody capitalizing on an opportunity to increase their stack by 5 or 15 or 25% of their net worth. Nobody in that scenario, as long as they're not a zero-sum minded person, nobody actually cares about the fee, right? Only the zero-sum minded people care about the fee because they cannot see the intangible risks and the intangible opportunities and rewards at their fingertips they're not taking advantage of. So finally, this video is a rant. This video is probably too long. I get it. You want the bull post-hopium, and believe me, it will come back in future videos. I just have to make this video for my conscience now because in the scenario Bitcoin goes down, I don't want anybody to complain to me, Luke, why didn't you warn me that your rate was going up? Luke, why didn't you warn me that this margin call scenario was coming? So finally, yes, I may be wrong. I have absolutely no idea what's happening next, but I remain bullish. Call me crazy. I'm still bullish. I think we're going up. I think this is a bottom. I think we are closer to a bottom than a top. I do think the market's had a tremendous amount of pain. We could have more, maybe briefly, maybe for an extended period of time, but I do believe Bitcoin's going to 100 grand very, very soon. I do believe that it's going to 200, 300, 500 grand, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, etc. Either way, and the path of the most irony will be soon enough, Bitcoin's going to be $200,000 a coin, and everybody's going to forget these hard lessons. And then when Bitcoin's 200 grand and everybody says, no way it goes back to 130, 140, everybody's going to take the margin loan. And then a year from now, I'll be making this video again, and people are going to say that, Luke, why did you flip-flop on your sentiment? I didn't flip-flop on my sentiment. I've been very consistent. It might go up, it might go down. You should plan and a risk-adjusted bet accordingly in the maximum probability of your portfolio. So, oh well, everything's a trade-off. Hopefully we go to 200 grand, but the trade-off of that is that everybody's going to forget this lesson. Nobody will have learned the lesson, and I don't know, I guess that's job security, I guess. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please reach out if you're nervous about what's going on here, or if you want to take advantage and capitalize on this precise moment in Bitcoin, please reach out. Either way, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. Please have patience with me in the immediate short term coming up here. Doing the absolute best I can, and you'll probably see a little less videos from me as well, given the amount of work to do. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video, and this is a good moment to remember there's more to life than just money, right? You got your family, you got your health, hopefully you have God, and at the end of the day, it's just numbers on a screen. So, wish you the best